Welcome to Potato the Reboot, where we explore a potential revolution for the world's most important vegetable, the potato. What if I told you that the world's most important vegetable, the potato, is completely outdated and systemically broken? What if I told you that the third most important food crop on Earth, the crop that sustains billions of people's lives, is running on Victorian-era software that keeps getting infected with viruses and rots? It costs a fortune to grow, and it's as slow as dial-up internet to breed. That would mean we are standing on the precipice of a complete global crisis and the epitome of a Malthusian civilization collapse. But also, this could mean a potential revolution for humanity's entire food system. In either case, this is a story worth being broadcast across every news outlet around the entire world, and it should be, because that's exactly what's happening right now. We live in the age of technology and information. But when most people hear technology, they think of artificial intelligence, electric vehicles, or spaceships soaring through the stars. The next major breakthrough isn't going to be shiny silicon in the stars. It's going to be starch in the soil, and the whole process is going to be all natural, with only good old-fashioned birds and bees genetic breeding, absolutely zero GMO gene editing necessary. Firstly, we need to look at modern agriculture not as farming, but as a biological computing platform following nature's algorithm, and we need to learn how to speak its coding language and utilize the hardware that's been given to us at its fullest capacity. The potato is a biological computer designed to convert solar energy into caloric energy, much like a computer converts electricity into data. The potato is the most efficient biological machine for caloric production per acre ever, converting solar radiation into calories more effectively than any other temperate crop in the world. The potato plant is the computer hardware, and right now, the potato industry is running on a massive, outdated legacy architecture. Modern potatoes' genetics are stuck in the 15th century, running on an old, dusty beige desktop tower computer, hardwired to a hot gray server room, while almost every other crop is running on sleek modern gaming laptops with fully updated modern software, built-in antivirus, high-speed wireless internet, cloud server data storage, and complete system backups that store free for decades. The efficiency of the modern potato hardware is severely constrained by the obsolescence of its operating system. It's finally time for the potato to have a full system reboot and start over with all new hardware, just like how we've done for most other crops grown today. Other major crops like corn and soy are the laptops of agriculture. They are mobile, constantly updated, and efficient. They receive annual software updates in the form of new hybrid varieties. The potato is a mainframe from the 1970s. Massive, immovable, and running legacy code that hasn't been touched in decades. While the rest of agriculture has gone mobile and cloud-based, the potato is still a desktop tower glued to the floor, consuming massive amounts of energy just to idle. We need to abandon the modern potato desktop, tetraploids, and go back to its more primitive version of the potato laptop, diploids, and begin upgrading it with hybrid inbreeding techniques, update the software, to outcompete the desktop version and catch up to the laptop versions of every other modern crop today, utilizing modern breeding to its fullest capacity. We are finally cutting the cord. The good news is, nature has the answer. It's time for the system reboot and the biological solution to save the potato. To save the potato from complete and utter failure, we have to bring it back to its ancestral roots in the Andes of South America, where we can find both wild and domesticated diploid potatoes being grown for thousands of years. Luckily, nature had the answer to the tetraploid problem all along, just waiting to be properly utilized to its full potential. In the Andes, where the potato was originally domesticated, there are both diploid, laptop, and tetraploid, desktop versions of the potato. Natives have been unknowingly growing and domesticating the very same potatoes that will eventually be bred together to create our new Holy Grail hybrid potato. Our colonial ancestors during the 15th century Columbian exchange coincidentally chose all desktop versions of the potato, because they're statistically larger and more vigorous, having more genetic material to work with, to bring back to Europe, and that's all we've ever known for the last 500 years. We now have to throw out all our desktop tetraploid potatoes to go replace them with the laptop diploid version of the potato, so we can begin updating it with all our modern software. Why haven't we switched to diploid potatoes already? Well, there was always something preventing us from doing so, until just recently, there was a security feature blocking us: the self-incompatibility gene. The diploid laptop potato has a built-in digital rights management (DRM) that prevents inbreeding. It locks the system so you can't stabilize the code, at least until now. Enter the Holy Grail, the SLE gene. Found in wild species, this gene is the skeleton key. Think of SLE as a jailbreak. It grants us root access to the potato's genome. It disables the DRM, allowing us to bypass the firewall and finally write clean, stable code. But it comes with a catch. Wild potatoes are slightly toxic and taste bitter. We need to breed potatoes so they don't have the bitter gene but still have the Holy Grail gene, and that's just a numbers game. Luckily, over the last couple decades, researchers have already done all that hard work for us. Now that we have the Holy Grail gene, we can now refactor the genome through hybrid inbreeding, turning a chaotic game of chance into deterministic engineering. With the SLE gene, we can finally self-pollinate. We force the potato through the valley of death by inbreeding two distinct lineages that have a combination of all the initial traits we need, purging the genetic load along the way over 6 generations, stripping away centuries of accumulated bad mutations. What survives is a clean, homozygous inbred line. And when we cross 2 of these clean lines, boom, we get hybrid vigor, a uniform, high-yielding F1 hybrid Holy Grail potato grown from true botanical seed. Waiting 12 years for a new potato variety is obsolete. With fast-breeding diploids, we can release nightly builds fixing code and ship them across the world overnight. Now we can start debugging the genome. We call this purging the code. When we self-pollinate, we force the plant to reveal its lethal recessive genes, the critical errors and bugs that have been hiding in the code for centuries. In the old tetraploid system, these bugs were masked by the noise. In the diploid system, they crash the program immediately. The plant dies or is stunted. This is a feature, not a bug. It allows us to identify the corrupted data, delete it permanently, and compile a clean, stable kernel that runs without errors, completely naturally without gene editing. Nature has been selectively breeding and purging code for millions of years. Evolution is the ultimate machine learning algorithm. We are finally learning to use the right potato hardware and utilize the results Mother Nature has given us all along. Instead of fighting nature with chemistry, we utilize the natural algorithm of sexual reproduction and selective purging to optimize the crop for humanity's greater good. The biological solution is ready. Now let's explore the logistics of implementing this system reboot, the hardware upgrade. Having a crop that now has 2 ways of producing offspring allows for latency-free deployment. New varieties can be distributed globally in an envelope. And it's not just weight that changes the whole system, it's health. Plant diseases are almost never transferred to the botanical seed, ensuring that your seed is disease-free, eliminating the need for certified seed tubers. The potato plant goes from producing 10 clones to additionally producing 10,000 more seeds. The entire nation's potato seed supply could fit in a single 2-story warehouse covering 1 single acre and can last for decades with virtually no climate control. This update changes the physical reality of farming. Currently, the industry relies on physical hard drives, potato tubers, to plant their next growing season. To plant a single acre, you have to ship 2.5 tons of tubers. That is like shipping thousands of heavy server racks just to install an app. Let's talk about Logistics Zero. We are moving to True Potato Seed, TPS. This is the cloud migration. We replace 2,500 tons of heavy tubers with just 10 grams of seed. That is a compression ratio of 99.99%. The zip file True Potato Seed is the ultimate compression format. You can replace a whole semi-truck of tubers with a packet of seeds that fits in your pocket. We are no longer shipping hardware. We are transmitting pure data. Our new seeds can be stored for decades with almost no logistical costs and can create a genetic gene bank of potatoes that doesn't rely on potatoes from the previous year as the seed supply and can't last for longer than a year without sprouting. Our current genetic diversity is dangerously low, stored in vulnerable field collections exposed to weather and pests. We need to upgrade our server farms. Gene banks are the physical hard drives holding the source code of the species. We are replacing perishable goods with durable archives. In our current potato supply chain system, we need to set aside 10% of the entire world's potato harvest to be used as seed for the next generation, ensuring that those potatoes didn't accumulate too many diseases. Theoretically, if all potato farmers utilize botanical seeds instead of tubers, this would free up 100 billion pounds of potatoes worldwide to be eaten every single year. This concept alone would change the entire planet as we know it, possibly ending world hunger. With the hardware upgraded, let's look at the software update, optimizing the potato's genetics and traits for a better user experience and global resilience. We spent 500 years optimizing the backend for yield and forgot about the user interface of the potato. Color, texture, nutrients, flavor. It's time to fix the user experience. We aren't deleting history. We're using modernity to bring back ancient varieties of potatoes. We're running heirloom flavor and rich nutrient software on modern, disease-resistant computer hardware. We can even look to the wildest frontier, edible berries in addition to edible tubers. By silencing the game gene pathway, we can detoxify the fruit, creating a dual-use supercrop where you harvest tubers from the soil and tomato-like berries from the vine. There is also a gene already lying dormant in potatoes to begin expressing capsaicin, the spicy chemical in peppers, begging the idea of even producing spicy berries along with potato tubers. Now we have the same plant that gives us French fries growing spicy berries that we can turn into a sauce to dip the fry into. You get 2 harvests for the price of 1. But wait, wild diploids are from the Andes. They only grow tubers in short days. Some diploid potatoes are region-locked to the equator by their genetics. If you plant them in Michigan or Europe in the summer, you get leaves, but no potatoes. We found a patch to run them anywhere. We have to reformat the plant's internal clock by introducing the north allele from diploid varieties that have already been domesticated in South America for thousands of years. This makes the potato day neutral, so it tuberizes in the long, hot summers of the 45th parallel, and you actually get potatoes before it freezes. Why settle for 1 shield when you can have 5? Gene stacking is the ability to layer multiple resistance genes into a single variety. We can stack resistance genes, introgressing wild traits for beetle resistance and frost tolerance. If a virus mutates to bypass firewall A, firewall B is waiting. We can stack resistance to late blight, nematodes, and PVY into a single seed. Stack disease resistance is biological antivirus software updates. This creates redundancy in the security system, ensuring 99.9% uptime for the farmer. In the global south, farmers are stuck with rotting, diseased tubers that yield 8 tons per hectare. Developed nations get 40. This yield gap is caused by seed tuber system failure. Hybrid true potato seeds fix this overnight. A smallholder farmer can buy a packet of high-yielding, disease-free hybrid seed for the price of lunch and ship it across the world. They can triple their yields in 1 season. We end hidden hunger, and it saves the environment as a result. We can reduce fungicide use by 90%. We are building a potato that fights for itself. Again, all of this without any gene editing. It's completely natural. True potato seeds are a biological firewall. Tubers have open ports for viruses, but the seed coat is a firewall that blocks pathogens from entering the next generation. Diseases like PVY and PLRV do not transfer through botanical seed. Every single season, the farmer starts with a clean slate. Just pure, clean, vigorous genetics. We are currently fighting biological software viruses with chemical hardware spray. It is inefficient and damaging to the motherboard, soil. The new approach is native antivirus. By editing the plant's R genes, resistance genes, the potato recognizes the malware, pathogen, immediately upon infection and neutralizes it. We move from external reactive chemical warfare to internal proactive genetic immunity. We have seen the consequences of this architecture before. Ireland was running a monolith potato variety clone called the Irish Lumper. It was the Windows XP of the 1840s, installed on every single farm. Because every potato was a clone, they shared the exact same security vulnerability. There was no defense in depth. When late blight arrived, it acted as a 0-day exploit, and the entire server went down, causing the Irish potato famine, killing 1 million and emigrating another 1 million out of Ireland. Terrifyingly, we are still doing the exact same thing today. It's completely analogous to being a victim to a cyber warfare attack without even having something as simple as an antivirus program installed to defend against it, making us completely reliant on chemical warfare, pesticides, to combat it. Now let's dive into the legacy architecture of the potato and understand the root cause of its stagnation. The root cause of the potato's stagnation is its ploidy level, referring to the amount of chromosomes it has in each set. Modern potatoes have 4 copies of each chromosome, making them tetraploids. Most other crops are diploids, just like humans, only having 2 copies of each chromosome. The modern potato is running on a bizarre 128-bit computer code system called tetraploidy. Although powerful, it's too complex to stabilize. In computational terms, this is spaghetti code, a tangled, chaotic mess of instructions where every variable has 4 potential definitions simultaneously. In this system, the code is so tangled that fixing one error breaks 5 other features. It creates a high-entropy environment for breeders where the computer compiler keeps throwing errors. This causes genetic gridlock, making it statistically impossible to breed out bad traits. Diploids run on a simpler 32-bit computer code system, which, although it has less powerful hardware, being able to organize and update the software code on the fly will make it outperform any desktop versions of potatoes that are available today. Modern industrial farming with tetraploid desktop potatoes is plagued by bloatware and pop-ups. These are undesired traits that begin to express themselves when breeding tetraploid varieties with their botanical seeds. Genes from previous generations keep on expressing themselves no matter how many generations you inbreed. Potatoes have about 40,000 genes. At the tetraploid level, there is about a 1 in 36 chance, 2.5%, at best for getting the trait you want for every one of each 40,000 genes. With diploids, it is 1 in 4, and then we can create hybrid varieties that are 99.99% true to variety with no bloatware or pop-ups at all. Our reliance on cloning, planting the same tuber genetics year after year, introduces the biological equivalent of bit rot. The analogy of the Xerox machine best explains this degradation. If you take a document, tuber, and photocopy it, then photocopy the copy and repeat this process 10 times, the image degrades. The noise, smudges, and artifacts accumulates until the original data is unreadable. Over successive generations, clones accumulate viral noise and genetic static, viruses, bacteria, and epigenetic errors that degrade the performance of the hardware. To manage this, the industry employs a flush-out model, analogous to wiping a hard drive and restoring from a backup every few years. They have to start a single plant from tissue culture in a lab-grade greenhouse facility, usually at universities, and start a 10 to 15-year process of regrowing the plants from tubers until there's enough to supply commercial growers' fields. This is an expensive, logistical nightmare designed solely to mitigate the inherent instability of the legacy architecture. Because the current genetic code is so difficult to rewrite, the industry relies on hard drive cloning, or vegetative propagation, by planting potato tubers from the previous season. For 500 years, we have been farming a mistake. We plant tubers, chunks of old potato, hard drives, year after year, which is a genetic dead end. The current global potato economy, valued at over $100 billion, rests on a foundation of genetic clones. The industry is dominated by the Russet Burbank, created in 1902, basically running on Windows 95. It works, but it is clunky, bloated, and full of technical debt. The system is live. Now, how do we deploy this revolutionary potato and improve the user experience for farmers? We are now at the most critical fork in the project. The code is rewritten. The system is live. But who owns the source code? Corporations want to build a walled garden, selling a binary executable seed that runs perfectly but cannot be copied or modified. Big Ag sells you a locked iPhone. We're building Google, Android, and Linux. Open source code you can modify and repair yourself. This is the Open Source Seed Initiative. Just as Linux has different distros or Android has different builds, the community creates specific varieties for specific needs exactly when you need them. A breeder in the Netherlands can upload a patch that a farmer in Kenya downloads the next season. The potato becomes a decentralized, peer-to-peer network of food security. So how do we farm this? We stop planting clones from potato tubers and start planting precision crops with true seed. We are moving from tuber planters to horticultural transplant machines. Farmers can use direct sowing with pelletized seeds for low-cost markets once the technology adapts, or the transplant system, growing plugs in greenhouses, or certified hybrid mini-tubers purchased from certified hybrid seed tuber growers, utilizing their existing planting equipment. These mini-tuber seeds are plug-and-play compatible with the machinery farmers already own. This decapitalizes the land and the industry. The current certification pipeline is the equivalent of dial-up internet. To certify a potato today, we spend 5 to 7 years flushing viruses out of the system through successive field generations, G1 through G5. It is a high-latency, low-bandwidth verification process. True potato seed eliminates this lag. The seed is the certificate. Because the botanical seed is a biological firewall, it is born digital, clean, authenticated, and ready to launch immediately. We are moving from a 7-year buffering time to instant streaming. Although it's a clunky process, this will be the bridge between our current system and the new system. Existing potato growers who already specialize in growing certified seed tubers will be leading the charge to bring the diploid potato commercial. Existing growers will grow true-to-variety Holy Grail diploid seedlings from botanical seeds in a large greenhouse. These seedlings will be grown almost fully to maturity until they have small golf ball-sized tubers or smaller. These mini tubers are harvested and tested to make sure they are disease-free. These mini tubers are distributed to smaller potato growers who don't grow their own seed and are planted out into fields utilizing their existing potato planting equipment. From there, the small potato grower has a few choices: sell all the new tubers and buy more, save 10% of the tubers to use as seed the next year, which they can legally do for 6 generations before disease builds up. They can save all the tubers and have 1,000% more tubers to clone the next year. Simultaneously, they can harvest the botanical seeds from the berries, which could either be open-pollinated or self-pollinated. They can use open-pollinated seeds to create F2s, which all have slight genetic variances. They can plant these out to begin phenohunting for new potential varieties, but these need to undergo the 6th-generation selfing purge again. Finally, they can ensure that a plant in the field self-pollinates by covering the flower, and harvest more S1 hybrid seeds that are statistically going to look completely similar to the parent plant. Potato growers are eventually going to become incentivized to start saving their own hybrid seeds from tubers and grow their own seedlings from botanical seeds. This means that small potato farmers are going to start investing into greenhouse nursery complexes with vegetable plug transplanters, the very same equipment used to grow many other specialized vegetable, fruit, and ornamental crops. If potato farmers now have greenhouses and transplanters, they can begin to think about growing other specialty crops in the off-season with shorter days to maturity, or grow ornamental potted flowers in their greenhouses after the potato seedlings are transplanted. Overall, the idea of reinventing the humble potato into a sleek modern hybrid food system doesn't just fix the potato. It allows farmers to hedge their bets and grow other crops within the same system with the same equipment. This doesn't just make it easier for the big potato farmers, it makes it easier for the other farmers to start growing potatoes as well. It opens up the door to everyone, including home gardeners, to grow potatoes just as effectively as the professionals do it. And anyone can create a new potato variety. Now let's go back to the original question. The potato is on the verge of a complete systemic collapse, but what if we could change everything and completely restart with brand new code in a brand new machine? What if we could reboot the potato genome, turning it from a clumsy dial-up desktop tower with a Xerox printer into a high-tech, hybrid computing machine running on modern cloud high-speed internet with digital breeding technology? What if we could replace tons of tubers with just grams of seed? What if you could go to any garden store and buy a packet of potato seeds and keep them for a decade, with just as much variety in color, flavor, and nutrition as we see in the heirloom tomato community? What if the potato plant could grow a fruit that's just as good as a tomato and just replace it entirely, growing 2 crops at once? What if we could give the world an extra 100 billion pounds of potatoes overnight? This isn't science fiction. This is the Magnum Opus, the Holy Grail, the humble potato revolutionized to feed the planet Earth. This is the ultimate plan to transition the world from the tuber age to the seed age, and in doing so, feed the hungry, heal the planet, and maybe, just maybe, earn a Nobel Peace Prize.